The 2025 Martyrs Day celebrations will be remembered not just for the spiritual fulfillment and colorful displays, but for the testimony of teamwork, commitment, and hope from the Northern Cluster dioceses that hosted this year's national religious event at the Anglican site.
I think it was magnificent. You could see the diversity of colors. First of all, red everywhere at the altar, which is a symbolic language we use in church for celebration of saints.
As the dust settles on the sacred grounds of Namugongo, the Northern Cluster bishops are filled with gratitude and pride for leading an event they say was a resounding success.
In our preparation, we said service will begin at 9 and by midday it will end. And that we scored some very good marks in keeping time.
A key highlight of this year's event was the early raising of the necessary funds. With a budget of 2.2 billion Ugandan shillings, the Northern Cluster was supported with 2 billion from the government. The remaining amount was sourced from contributions across the different cluster dioceses. By the final week, before June 3rd, the fundraising target had been fully met.
We were already very desperate by the time the money came, because if the monies come late, there is the temptation of borrowing money.
In what often becomes a logistical nightmare, the bishops were particularly pleased that the health of the pilgrims, many of whom trek for days to reach Namugongo, was well catered for. With support from both government and non-governmental organizations, medical teams were in place and no major health emergencies were reported. Even more reassuring, the team did not record missing persons.
Everybody who came returned home on their own without us having to come in.
Security was tight and commendable, although some pilgrims reportedly felt slightly intimidated by the heavy presence. Despite that, the event remained incident-free. Media coverage was extensive.
Media houses visited our diocese, particularly which we single out clearly is NTV team. I think NTV, with terms of coverage, they reach in all these dioceses.
Thank you, the media, because it began with flagging us from our different dioceses with foot pilgrims and walking with us at different spots where we were worshiping, praying along the road, and you would check on us. So you gave us currently what is happening, which is news, but you also gave us a bit of what to expect, what was coming, and in a sense, a little bit of what happened in the past.
The colorful choir and different traditional dances from the north were, in Bishop Loum's words, a reflection of what heaven must look like.
Singing in unison, and they are coming from different parts of Uganda. That was amazing. But also the different cultures that northern Uganda brought. You remember it started with the bola dance, and then in the middle we had that presentation from our brother from Lango, and then we had the Alur with the Agwara, and then the singing and dancing. That was superb.
Unlike in recent years where delegation was the norm, President Museveni graced this year's celebrations in person alongside the First Lady Janet Museveni. The bishops viewed his presence as a symbol of national unity and recognition of the event's spiritual and cultural importance. The bishops also commended the president's decision to embed Martyrs Day budget into the national budget. With Namugongo now formally recognized as a tourism site, the bishops believe further government investment in infrastructure and publicity is both logical and necessary. Still, the journey to June 3rd was not without challenges. One major challenge was the difficulty of holding physical meetings among the diocese heads in the lead-up event. They had to resort to online meetings, something they feel was less effective. There was also the issue of space.
I think the overwhelming number will need enlargement of that site because the population was big.
Another pressing concern was the toilet system.
The system that was in place was not designed to take care of the number of people that turned up.
Going forward, He says facilities must be designed to accommodate such large crowds. To Uganda Christian University, the cluster that will take on the mantle next year, the bishops had simple yet powerful advice.
Involve technical people, work with the provincial office, and also in the cluster you need team spirit and confidence.
They should start today, not even tomorrow. That would be perfect for them.
I instructed Canon Paul Waswa, the chaplain of Uganda Christian University, to begin working on the booklet for worship for next year already.
They attribute much of their success to unity among the northern dioceses, one that allowed them to deliver an unforgettable, spiritually lifting and logistically sound celebration. Lydia Felly Akullu, NTV.